Welcome back, everybody.
Two guys and a stack of comics, and we're on a bit of a roll here with Batman. That's Reed. I'm Mike.
Yep. Ranked our Batman movies, kind of went through, but kind of like how we do with Spider-Man, we started thinking, okay, if we're going to rank the movies, what about the actors who played the role, who did the best job? And for us, again, live action only, so no offense to Kevin Conroy, who did such an amazing job as an animated actor voice actor for Batman, the fantastic Lego Batman stuff, and all that we've had, the great voice actors going live action only, and again, had to be in a major movie that came out. So there's some guys I know who played Batman, like some serials and things like that in the 30s and 40s. No offense to them, but just going with the guys who played it in the movie overall. Based completely just on Mike and I's opinion of who did the best. So there's 7 actors that we
7 total. One of them's a surprise with a caveat, but I had to work to get him in there. Reed acquiesced.
Yep.
Yeah. So coming in at number 7.
7, we have George Clooney. I almost feel bad about putting him at 7 because
interesting pick.
At 7, he is by far the worst version of Batman we've had. However, I will give him grace in that no one could have been good in Batman and Robin.
No.
And so he didn't do anything to elevate the awful material he was given, which is why he ends up so low.
He's a good actor.
Clooney's a great actor. If you watch
George
stuff
Clooney.
like Ocean's 11 or The Peacemaker that he's in, he's fantastic. I think he certainly could have played a good Batman. I just don't know how anyone could have made that material good.
Oof.
And he didn't do anything to really elevate that bad material. So it's probably harsh to put him in there. I really don't have any negative to say about his actual portrayal of Batman. I think he was suitably good as Bruce Wayne. It's just the script he was given gave him no chance. And so he ends up at 7. I won't trash him or anything like that, though. And it's just unfortunate that he ends up where he does. But hard to put him over anybody else on the list.
If he got a better script, I'm sure he would have done better.
Absolutely.
So we'll dog the script, not the actor. Sorry, George. Okay, coming in at number 9.
Or 6, yeah.
Or 6.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer was difficult for me to put as low as 6, but honestly, looking at it, he belongs there.
I liked his Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
I thought he did a good Bruce Wayne. His Batman, not so much.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for him is that if Bruce Wayne only was the list we were doing, he would be much higher. His Batman never comes off as intimidating.
That would be an interesting list.
Yeah, if we kind of differentiated it.
And then we could do the Peter Parkers versus the Spider-Man.
That could be an interesting
we got something
wrinkle.
going here. Okay. But no, you got to put them together.
His Batman it never bought as intimidating.
Nah.
He was suitable, and again, I love Batman Forever. It's a childhood favorite of mine.
Again, corny script,
hard to get through.
The cheese-o-meter was on the high level.
A little bit
there.
high up.
Yeah.
And so, not at all his fault, I don't think. But yeah, I think his Bruce Wayne's great. His Batman just not quite to par. You never really buy him as like the world's greatest detective and this intimidating guy.
Number 5.
5. This is Mike's, personal on there, and I had to kind of acquiesce on it just because of childhood memories of watching Adam West. As
you say, well, wait a minute. Adam West was only in the TV show. How did he make it on this list?
No, there was a 1960s Batman movie of shark repellent fame. That he made it.
It was before Jaws, so it may have influenced Steven Spielberg.
Jaws. Yeah.
Could have.
I will give Adam West credit, and where I will always give him credit as a Batman is that the ridiculous costume that he had, it is all Adam West. There's no padding, there's no muscles, there's no special effects. It is just him
and the way
having the time of his life.
And the way he delivered his deadpan dry. It's classic. Nobody ever do it again.
No, it reminds me a lot of kind of like Shatner in Star Trek, where like he knows he's playing a character and he's just having fun doing it.
And he was all in. He was really all in. And the other thing is he's legendary.
Yeah,
as Batman.
No,
so
and I think he really understood it was for
list.
Children. And I think that's the other part is sometimes on these lists, especially with comic book stuff, the intended audience of a lot of this is kids. And I think Adam West fully understood that. And, talking to my dad, who was alive at the time when these came out, he was his Batman. He truly loved that character because of the way that played. And so he definitely deserves to be there. Couldn't put him any higher, but I think he definitely deserves to be a 5.
We gave him a spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Way to go, Adam.
Number 4, we had Ben Affleck. Affleck is an interesting one in that I kind of feel like, again, scripting really hurts him. In that
there were times when he played Batman really well, and There were, when he played Bruce Wayne really well.
He was great as Bruce Wayne.
There were some movies where, I knew he was all in and he really put forth an effort. There were also some movies of him where I could tell that
not so much.
Not so much. So it's kind of like hard to,
Well, and he seems to be just a victim of the disorganized DCEU in that when you watch him in the actual Justice League movie that Snyder made, you can tell he was all in. And then the Joss Whedon cut, you brought him back, he wasn't in shape. He didn't really want to be there, and you can tell. But it does hurt that he's in a movie where that is kind of how he's seen. But he did bring the necessary physicality to the role. You completely bought him as Bruce Wayne. As Batman, he looked fantastic in the Batman costume.
League movie? He was so good as Bruce Wayne.
He did a great... And I think where he does get some credit is he's the only Batman who had to bounce off of other superheroes. All of the other Batmans, you don't have to interact with Superman or Wonder Woman. Affleck kind of had to hold his own against some of these other actors, and he did do a good job of it. The only negative, again, like Mike said, his Batman comes off a bit too psychotic and a bit too dark, even for Batman, in my opinion.
Although many people have said Batman is psychotic.
Yeah, he may be. I think just there's a different level of psychotic in like Frank Miller's, Batman and Batman trying to murder Superman with a spear.
Yeah.
And I think DCEU, we can do a video about why the DCEU didn't work at some point, but I think that's really the differentiator. He
never got a solo movie.
And he never got a chance to do his own. That's true. Absolutely.
But I think he's probably done with Batman by now.
Yeah, no, I think The Flash was his exit, and unfortunately for him, but yeah, I think he did a good job.
But still, he climbs to number 4 out of 7.
3, we have...
who's going to be number 3?
Robert Pattinson at 3. Pattinson's interesting because he's the only one who has a chance to continue to grow up, and me and Mike certainly talked if the next 2 Batman movies he gets are as
he could prove
of
to be
the quality,
1.
he could get up quite high on the list. I'm shocked is even close. I was convinced when he was cast that it was not going to work.
Too,
like Twilight guy, really.
I will take you back in time to when I was a kid and the original Batman movie came out. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was 20 years old, I guess. But when they announced that Michael Keaton was going to play Batman, we were all like, oh, that's going to be terrible.
And he did great, yeah.
But he did great. And same thing with Pattinson. He delivered.
No, he delivered, and I think the strength of Pattinson was interesting to me is like his Batman was actually better than his Bruce Wayne, which I thought that was the part that would be the weakest. But he did such a good job playing the character.
I loved it.
Especially because the amount of acting that he does in the costume. Most other of the Batmans, there's very little time in the actual suit.
The whole time he was in the suit.
Pattinson, yeah, basically he's in either one disguise or the other. And he just had a lot of dialogue and scenes that he carried. I thought the other part that he did well, excellent chemistry with Gordon, excellent chemistry with Catwoman. He carried kind of all of those scenes. And you really bought him as like a younger Batman. And I think that's where he could grow into this, is if they keep making these and he gets to play like a more seasoned veteran Bruce Wayne.
And it would
be great.
One thing that we haven't talked about would be kind of cool to drill down is like for comic characters, like how much acting, like usually when they're in the suit, it's all action.
Yep.
But with Batman, there's more of acting in the suit. And that's a little bit unusual.
For most superheroes. Compared to like Iron Man where,
Spider-Man, it's all action. Whereas Batman, he has the cowl, so he's always half unmasked.
Yep.
And so he has to bring it in the suit and out of the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And for the amount of acting that he had to do in the suit, I was really impressed. You're right, they didn't give his Bruce Wayne much screen time.
No. And so he could potentially move up as we go, but he did a great job. 1 and 2, we spent probably the most time debating. We flipped and flopped between the 2 and then kind of got to where we were.
You gotta give it.
Yeah, and at the end we kind of both arrived at that someone... And I think this is an important thing with Batman. I think Batman and a lot of these comic characters, they've been around for so long. It's impossible to make a perfect version of the character. And that for some people, Batman is a 60s cheesy Biff Bam Pow character. And for others, it's the Frank Miller, the Dark Knight, Batman Year One. So it's where do you find the balance of that? And so 2, we had Michael Keaton at 2. He is the original movie Batman, or I guess kind of the original with Keaton.
He forged the bridge and he paved the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim Burton was the perfect director to do that. Before Keaton, it was all cheese. The cheese-o-meter was at 10 or 11.
An all-time high kind of thing.
Yeah. And so between Keaton's comedic skills
Yep.
and Burton's fanciful way to direction.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to balance the two and deliver a Dark Knight with some very fanciful elements.
Yeah.
And Keaton just, he bridged that gap masterfully and
Mm-hmm.
paved the way. Although they had to jump over the 90s,
Yeah.
there was that jump that had to be made
Mm-hmm.
where they tried to revert back to the cheese.
To the cheese, for sure.
Kind of like the pit where the Joker falls in. Instead of the chemical vat, it was just, nacho cheese, and they all fell
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
for about 10 years. But once they emerged, they pulled
Got it
from
back.
that.
Yeah.
And it was because of Frank Miller that movie had the dark side that it did.
Yeah. No, and Keaton throughout, I think the one thing you have to give Keaton, where he also gets a lot, is Keaton came back and played the role 30-something years later in the Flash movie.
That was
and no
cool.
one's had it. And the fact that in his 70s, he can still convincingly be Batman.
Or Vulture.
It's just impressive. Yeah, and Vulture, and
He can still bring it.
As a Batman actor, that you could say, hey, 30 years later, you're going to suit up again and you'll still be convincingly good, is
Yeah.
where we almost had to put him at 1. He doesn't quite get there just because of the strength of who we have at 1, but Keaton's fantastic.
Can you guess who is that one at this point?
So one, of course, the one that's left, Christian Bale. And there's really just no way to get around it. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where you can try to get creative and try to defeat what the internet opinion is, that the Bale is the best one. He is.
He absolutely is.
One, he's one of the greatest actors, I think, of the modern age, and that his ability to transform into roles and then to play Batman is just, he's crazy good.
You had a guy that played Bruce Wayne strong and Batman strong.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that we gave Keaton. He played both well.
Yeah.
But and to get to the top of our list, you have to be able to play both well.
Bale plays the drunk playboy Bruce Wayne ports of these movies so incredibly well. And then switch, because he's really almost playing 3 characters. He's playing the public persona Bruce Wayne of kind of the drunk, irresponsible jerk.
Then
he's playing the true Bruce Wayne along with Alfred and Rachel and Gordon and his allies. And then he's playing Batman. And he was the only one I thought that really brought the dichotomy of all of those together. Also, you look at the fact that the interactions he has with the Joker, with Catwoman, with Alfred, with Gordon, all of those scenes, he just so distinctly feels like Batman. And he's the one actor that, when I read a Batman comic book and then see a movie, Bale feels like they plucked Batman off the pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as possible.
And the thing about portraying Batman is it's got to be confusing for an actor out of central casting to you almost have to understand, and you have to have a love of the character to really understand that, yes, it's Bruce Wayne. Something happens to him slightly when he puts on the cape and the cowl, and he becomes a little bit different of a character. Not radically different, but it's something that some of the other actors, you could tell, struggled with, along with other things, budget, script, directors. But that aside, it must be a huge challenge.
Well, and the one thing I hear about Bale, the Batman growl and all that, like people mock the Batman voice. In all honesty, a man trying to completely change his voice, it's probably going to sound a little more like that. And again, what I will say is, if you hear that guy talking, you would never guess that's Bruce Wayne. And where I did sort of like that, and I don't know if it was an intentional choice, but what I always thought is, Bruce Wayne is supposed to be one of the most famous people in the world. Everybody would know what that guy sounds like when he talks. So you would almost have to do something radical to throw your voice off so much that no one could kind of connect the dots on it.
Unlike with Superman, he just puts on a pair of glasses. All of a sudden,
yeah.
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent takes off the glasses all of a sudden. Nope, don't know.
I don't recognize you. Who are you?
But it really was, I think, a great portrayal and the top that we've ever seen. Let us know what you think. Who do you think the greatest Batman of all time is? What would your list be? Is there something you think we didn't consider enough? Be interesting to see what you have to say below. But thanks as always for joining us, and we will see you with some more videos.
It's so funny. Did you see the latest Lois and Superman at the end where he's in the street?
Yeah.
And they don't recognize him? I'm like, oh my God.
Always great.
I can't believe it.
Yep. We'll do some Superman related content soon. Again, thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.